let up. Ferocious, I'm fed up, dismissing the competition. You're hopeless, I'll trash their ambition. Listen, you want a class on tradition or one condition? Forget the best of the century. Talk about the best of all time, you better mention me.
Welcome guys back to the Squared Circle, the UK's #1 pro wrestling radio show. We have with us this week an absolute honour to have this guy on the show, former Olympic gold medalist and the current TNA World Heavyweight Champion, Kurt Angle. Kurt, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Very happy to be here, knowing that we're now on Bravo on Saturday nights at 9 and promoting our Midway video game, TNA Impact, and also that we're coming here in June. So it's a big jump for TNA because we're only 5 years young and we have come so far so quickly.
Okay. Well, you mentioned the TNA UK Tour. Of course, it's the first time TNA as a company has been over to the UK to promote events. Yeah. Are you guys, how are you, what's the reaction been in the locker room when, you guys have found out you're coming over to the UK, because the fans over here are hot for TNA wrestling? That's
what we heard. That's what makes us so excited, is because the fans are very excited about having TNA come over here. They obviously have seen WWE many times, and I was part of the company when I was coming over here. But TNA is a completely different style of wrestling. We have our own flavor, and I think that fans are going to enjoy it. Our X division is just incredible. The heavyweight division's great, but when you compare our X division to the Cruiserweight division in WWE, it doesn't even compare. And that's what makes us stand out as our wrestling style. It's what we are. TNA is total nonstop action wrestling. I mean, that pretty much describes what we are, especially when we do tours like this, because that's all you're going to see is our wrestling, and it's amazing. We have some incredible athletes.
Now, obviously, you've been in the WWE for a number of years before coming to TNA. What's it going to be like for you to wrestle back in front of UK fans again?
I'm excited to come back to the UK. I didn't know it was going to be so quickly. You do have to remember that TNA is only 5 years old, and like I said, our ratings are going up, and they continue to keep going up. This company started out with nothing, and within 5 years we become a world power, and we're in 130 different countries. So coming here, this was our #1 pick. We knew the UK would be our prime location for our first world tour. And we found out here that our ratings are almost comparable to WWE's, which is incredible because we have only been on TV for a couple of years here. So we're very excited. And when we come here, we're going to bring a lot of the guys, and we're going to bring a lot of excitement to it. I think the guys are actually more excited than the fans.
Okay, it'll be great to see you guys over here, of course. Now, TNA, obviously, it is the best wrestling product in the US currently, and comparable to some of the Japanese promotions, the fans that absolutely love pure wrestling.
Sure.
TNA, rather unfairly, because it's such a young company, has received criticism. It's being compared to other places. What would you say to those people who have, took shots at the company unfairly? And, as I say, it's a great product.
The only people that really have taken shots at us are the people that are really avid WWE fans that will never switch. We are the alternative company, and those fans, they're diehard fans, and you have to respect that. But at the same time, you have to look around and see the growth of TNA and how WWE has kind of plummeted the last couple of years, and their storylines and their wrestlers have become stagnant. A lot of injuries, guys like myself and Booker T quitting and jumping ship and going over to TNA. So WWE, they have a lot of programming in 1 week, and they just don't have enough talent to fill that programming. Having the ECW 1 hour, SmackDown 2 hours, and Raw 2 hours, that's 5 hours of programming a week. They don't even have half the talent that we have. So TNA, we have too much talent, and we have 2 hours of programming a week. So when you watch our show, you're seeing our very top guys each and every time. And what we're trying to do is not just, showcase our top guys, but we have guys coming up through the ranks like Robert Roode and James Storm and even Eric Young and guys like Kaz and the Motor City Machine Guns. We're trying to make these guys huge superstars like Samoa Joe and AJ Styles and Christian Cage and myself. So we're doing an incredible job, and it's just a matter of time before we have about 15 guys at the top. And the difference between WWE and TNA is that there aren't any politics in TNA. You know, you really have to go through the whole politic thing in WWE where you have to earn your way up, and the guys at the top really don't want you up there. They want to keep you down. I'm the top guy in TNA, and my goal is to get everybody to the top with me. And if I can get 14 other guys at the top, then TNA becomes better, the company makes more money, and in return, we make more money. So it makes sense. And that's the whole team concept of TNA, and that's what makes it different than WWE.
Now, as you said earlier, TNA's been around for about 5 years. Are you surprised by the growth of the company over that time, and where do you see it going in the next 5 years?
If you compare it to WWE in their first 5 years, geez, it doesn't even compare. So I think that WWE has helped us, you know, but with them having a great promotion definitely has helped TNA grow quicker. TNA is a company that I think WWE was dying to have a competitor. You know, they were trying to compete against themselves. You know, they switched guys over to SmackDown, tried to have SmackDown compete against Raw. That got boring. Then they brought in ECW to compete against Raw. That got boring. It's because the fans know that it's WWE versus WWE. It's not a real different promotion. Vince owns all three of those companies. TNA is a different company. So now we're the competitor. And I think that WWE needed that. I think TNA needs WWE, and as long as we have competitors, we're going to continue to work harder to get better and be just more successful at what we do. So I think we help each other out.
Okay, changing gears briefly again, you mentioned the TNA Impact video game coming out this year, 2008, from Midway Games. We've seen some absolutely fantastic trailers.
Yeah, amazing.
Video games in the wrestling genre have kind of been cornered by the SmackDown versus Raw, their annual release, but this game looks absolutely awesome. The graphics, the animations look absolutely superb. What have you got to say about it again? Your opinions on it and how well it's going to do? The
reason this game is so much better than the Raw versus SmackDown game is because, like I said before, TNA is more of a family-oriented company. You know, all the guys work together to make this company one and strong. And a lot of the guys took a lot of extra time out to make this game very good. In WWE, all we had to do, we'd be at a TV one day, whether it be SmackDown or ECW or Raw, and they'd ask us to go into a bus, and they'd scan our head, and they'd scan our body, and they'd say, okay, we're done with you. And that's all they do. And then on the video game, you'd watch it, and you just look like a robot that looked like you. In TNA, we actually did the scanning. We actually interviewed the guys, their personalities. We got the facial expressions. We actually got the guys in the ring with a bodysuit on with sensors and did the wrestling moves. So, and not only that, but as the match goes on, you're starting to see the guy perspire. You see him sweating. You see him getting tired. So you're seeing real emotion in a video game, which is literally impossible. But now it is possible, and that's why this game is, without a doubt, the most innovative wrestling video game ever. And I'm not just tooting TNA's horn. I'm saying I literally have been in probably 50 video games, and this is by far the best video game, and I guarantee next year WWE will try to copy it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, shifting gears very briefly, of course Brock Lesnar made his MMA debut,
and he did a great job. Yeah,
he did, absolutely. Preparation was awesome there, and obviously saw you in the crowd, saw you at ringside. If you could face anyone in MMA, there have been lots of rumors flying around, everyone wants to see Kurt Angle in MMA. Who would you like to face in a dream MMA match?
I would prefer one of the top guys. I've already talked to different promotions. It looked like Randy Couture and I were going to go at it. But then Randy got caught in a little lawsuit with Dana White, so that's been on hold. Tito Ortiz is a name that popped up. Brock Lesnar is also a name that popped up. The only problem is Brock Lesnar is signed with Dana White. Dana White will not allow any of his fighters to fight pro wrestlers, active pro wrestlers. Now, if I decide to retire, which I'm not going to, if I decide to retire, Dana White would pick me up right away, and he'd have Brock Lesnar versus Kurt Angle. But I think that it'll probably be Tito Ortiz sometime in the summer, sometime after our tour in England, and I'm going to start training for that pretty soon on my days off. TNA enables me to be able to train for that because I'm not on the road as much as I was in WWE. In WWE, a lot, and I've even read that guys are on the road are only about 150 days. When I was in WWE, I was on the road over 300 days. And that had a lot to do with wrestling, promotions, autograph signings, commercials for WWE. I was the guy, and I was the most reliable guy. I was Vince McMahon's MVP. I was the guy that he always looked to, and so I kind of got tired of that, and and after a while the company became stagnant. It was getting very boring, and then I started watching TNA, and I was like, wow, I like the rest of that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and that guy, and I was like, this company is really growing. And when Vince and we kind of had a falling out, and I decided I wanted to quit, and thank God he gave me a release, because if he wouldn't have, I wouldn't have been able to sign with TNA. I still had 5.5 years on my contract. But Vince gave me the release, and that day I called Dixie Carter, and she flew up the following day, and she just had a baby and everything. It was crazy, but she came up, and we talked in my living room, and we actually we signed a deal, and we waited 3 months until the big pay-per-view Bound for Glory, and that's when I debuted. So it all worked out for the best. I got away from WWE's, which I wanted to do. I went to the company where I wanted to wrestle, and the only thing that I didn't get to do is I went to fly to see Dana White and sign with UFC as well, and I told him I just signed with TNA, and he said, well, I can't have you wrestle too. And I said, why not? And he said, well, I just don't think the fans they'll think it's fake. And I looked at Dana White like, you're going to insult the fans' intelligence by thinking that, you got a pro wrestling match and you got an MMA fight and you can't tell the difference? One's an octagon, one's a wrestling ring. I think they're smart enough to know that. And he's like, well, if you quit pro wrestling, give me a call. That's what he said. So I won't be fighting for Dana White, but my number one priority, although we're talking about all this fighting, my number one priority is to make TNA the top wrestling company in the world, and that is my job. That's what Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett hired me to do, and that's what I'm going to continue to do.
Now, keeping on that subject, who so far has been your favorite TNA opponent to be in the ring against?
Man, you know what? There's so many good guys. I have very limited wrestling experience with AJ Styles, but he's incredible. Christian Cage is one of the best ringleaders in the world. He's one of the most underrated wrestlers. I really enjoy wrestling Christian Cage. But Samoa Joe and we have a chemistry, and I think it has to do with both of our backgrounds, my Olympic gold medal background, his MMA background. So our match has become quite brutal. And when we're over, when the match is over and we're finished, we definitely feel the pain because we lay into each other. But Joe and I have a great chemistry, and we had a great nine-month run, and that's just the beginning. Joe and I are going to be going at it again, and it should be even better. So I'm looking forward to that. But I'd have to say that I've had great matches with Sting, Christian Cage. I've had great matches with young guys like Kaz. So I can't say who my favorite is, but the best chemistry is Samoa Joe.
Okay, again, keeping on the TNA locker room. Moving on to some fan questions now. We opened our forums when we found out we were going to be talking to you, asked our fans to send in some questions. First of all, our good friends over at Rumble Radio in Chicago sent in some questions.
Wow.
And they've said, as a gold medalist wrestler, have any people in the TNA locker room decided to test you in a shoot wrestling match?
No, I have actually thrown the offer out. To kind of garner my respect in a new company, because in WWE that was the thing, that I was the toughest guy there. Actually, Brock and I had a little contest to see who was the better the tougher guy, and I pretty much dominated him. Although, you know, all over the internet he lied and said he pinned me in 30 seconds. I don't know why I said that, but yeah, I pretty much dominated Brock in the ring, and then I came over here, and even Samoa Joe wouldn't go up against me. So, you know, I don't like to, you know, brag about my Olympic gold medal, but you know, it's something that I'm very proud of, and you know, if anybody wants to step up to the plate and try me out, I'd be more than happy to do it. So I think that Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett get a little nervous when I do that, when I get in the ring and say, come on, who wants to come in the ring, because they invest a lot of time and money in me, and they don't want to see me get hurt. So
now the second question again comes from Rumble. You've talked in the past about being in movies. Is any of that in the future for you?
Well, because of the writer's strike, I already would have been in a movie. I can't tell you the name, but I will tell you that the star is Tim Allen, and I have a very good part in that movie. I will be in 8 different scenes. After the writer's strike, we'll start working on that movie, and that's where I have to talk to Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett about what days off I can have to go out there and film, and I also have to talk to the producer and the director of the film and know that I need to be at TNA at a certain time. So I'll be a very busy man when that movie gets started, but yeah, I am going to start doing the cross, and that's a lot of the reason why I joined TNA, not just because they were growing rapidly and they are a much better wrestling company. Dixie Carter and Jeff Jarrett want me to go out there and pursue my dreams as an actor. They want me to become mainstream in the acting world. They feel that that'll give them more exposure. Vince McMahon would not let me do anything. He just wanted me to wrestle. And I had many offers. I had over 100 offers to do different movies, and every one went to the top to Vince, and he rejected all of them. I didn't find that out until I quit, and that really hurt me, because I saw the Rock kind of explode as an actor. You know, even Stone Cold started doing some movies, and everybody said, you know, Kurt Angle's gonna be the next guy. And Vince protected me. He wanted me to stay in the company, stay as a wrestler, and not go out there and try. Dixie Carter has a different philosophy. She feels that the more movies I do, the more exposure TNA gets. So that's why I'm happy to be with the company.
Okay. Again, more fan questions. Who came up with the idea of the 3 eyes?
I don't know. One of the writers of WWE or Vince McMahon. I think it was Vince, and I think it came from who was the guy? He has Parkinson's disease from Family Ties.
Michael J. Fox.
There you go. He actually he said it in one of the episodes, and I think Vince picked up on that, and so he gave it to me, and it worked very well. I mean, you know, being an Olympic gold medalist with the alter ego, and you know, I wasn't talking to the people, I was preaching to the people about my 3 eyes, and that's why, you know, all the fans started to hate me. You know, when you have someone preaching and knowing that they're an Olympic gold medalist, something that, you know, most of the fans could never dream of doing, and you're talking about that, the fans tend to find you annoying. So you know, the character worked very well, and then my character started to become very comical, and that really helped me out. And so not only was I you know, an incredible wrestler, my character became very strong in the WWE, and we're kind of doing the same character with a little twist in TNA, and it's working out very well. I thought that the fans would never boo me again, considering with my reputation as a wrestler and being the best wrestler in the world, but we're getting that reaction again, and it's a wonderful feeling, and it's kind of funny that, you know, you don't want the fans to boo you, but that is my job. And as a champion, as being a quote-unquote heel wrestler, it's my job to have the fans not like me, and it's working, thank God.
Of course, recently we had the big pay-per-view over in Japan, TNA invading Japan. Absolutely phenomenal show there, and really emphasizing the wrestling product of TNA. How does the style of Japanese wrestling differ from that in the US, obviously, apart from the entertainment aspect of it?
They are very brutal. They like I said, it's a same style that Samoa Joe and I have. They like to lay in. They actually edited out some of the match that I had with Yuji Nagata, maybe due to time restraints and maybe due to the fact that Yuji Nagata kicked me in the face as hard as he could. My whole side of my face ended up being black and blue. He was supposed to kick me in the shoulder, and he kind of missed it by about 6 inches. And but that's the kind of thing that you have to expect over there. You know, if they're going to hit you with German suplexes, you're not going to land on your back. You're going to land on the back of your head, sometimes on top of your head. So you have to be very careful about who you're wrestling and what you're going to do out there, because those guys, they want to lay in. They want to make it look real. They're more of an MMA background kind of wrestling. So when you go over there, you not only have to be careful, but you have to give it back. If you don't give it back, they'll take advantage of you. If you're very shy and you go in there and you let them beat up on you, they'll continue to beat up on you. But once you give them it's called a receipt. You give it back to them, they'll say, whoa, okay, all right, I'm not going to mess around with this guy. So that's what I do, right? When I get in that ring, first thing I do is I lay into that guy and I let him know, you're not going to mess with me. And it usually works most of the time.
Now, some of the other members of the TNA roster have been to Japan before. Obviously, Tom Coase, Scott Steiner, a lot. Yeah. What was it like for you seeing a different sort of culture to the US? How was that?
The problem is, I was wrestling one of their top, wrestlers, and I was expecting, the fans to react differently to me. I thought that they would boo me. The Japanese fans have a very high respect for me. So when I came out, I became the good guy, and I'm thinking I'm wrestling one of their own, and they're cheering for me. The culture is that it's not just that they were cheering for me, but their culture is they don't get rowdy like the American fans, like the UK fans. They pretty much sit on their hands. They like to study the match. They like to watch the match. They like to see it unfold. But Yuji Nagata and I had such an exciting match where we had this trade-off of submissions that for the first time I've ever seen the Japanese fans get off their seats and stand on their feet. It was because we had this trade-off for about 5 minutes, back and forth of submissions, and it worked so well that the fans literally stand up. It's the first time I saw the Japanese fans do that. So I think Yuji Nagata and I probably, without a doubt, will get Match of the Year honors. If not, we'll probably end up second or third. But it was one of those matches that was just magical. And the thing is, Yuji and I did not go over anything. We did not, like, we were supposed to go to the dojo the day before because it's like their WrestleMania. That whole thing was like a big deal. That there was over 30,000 fans there, and so they wanted to prepare the right way. I told them, no, I'm not going to the dojo. The next day they wanted me to come early to the arena. I said, no, I'm not coming early. I got there when the show started. Yuji Nagata and I talked a little bit. We went out, we just did it, and it was just like magic. It was like my match with Chris Benoit in 2003 at the Royal Rumble, and I was very proud of that. And I think Yuji Nagata needs to be proud of that. Even though he lost, he had an incredible match, probably one of his greatest matches of all times, and I can say the same for myself. So I expect the same when I go back over and wrestle Nakamura.
Okay, switching back to some fan questions. Quick fire this one. Which do you prefer, pro wrestling or amateur wrestling?
Ooh, that's a tough one. Now that I'm so deep into pro wrestling, I would say pro wrestling, but what I'm most proud of is the Olympic gold medal. I trained very hard for that. I trained 20 years. As a child, I knew that I was going to do something in sport. I knew I was going to be a professional athlete. I chose at a young age, what was I going to do? I was only 6 or 7 years old. Was I going to be an Olympic gold medalist in wrestling, or was I going to be a pro football player? And I chose the Olympic gold medal route. I wanted to be a wrestler, and not knowing that I was going to end up being in pro wrestling. So I'm more proud of the Olympic gold medal, but at this point in my career, I take very much pride in being the TNA World Heavyweight Champion, and also obviously winning the honors of being Wrestler of the Year, greatest wrestler in the world this year, and also being one of the greatest wrestlers of all times. I take a lot of pride in that, and I think that TNA does as well.
Now, recently on TNA, we've seen you become the head of the Angle Alliance, of course, with AJ and your wife, Karen. Whose idea was it for Karen to become part of the active TNA roster?
Karen's. She was supposed to do one-time performance, and that one-time performance blew my mind. I was in the ring with her, and when the emotion, it was real. It came out of her, and she looked so good on camera. And I looked at her, and this is a hard thing for me to say because I love my wife dearly, but I looked at her, and all I thought were dollar signs. And you know, when I got backstage, even Jeff Jarrett came up to me, and he goes, "That girl is money," and he goes, "Well, she signed with us," and I said, I don't know. You have to ask her. I said, you know, she chose to be. She had a Victoria's Secret modeling career, and she dropped it for to be a housewife and a mother. And I respect her for that. But she decided on her own that she would join TNA. It'd be a limited schedule. God willing, she does come over to England, to the UK. But her schedule is doing TVs and pay-per-views, and some of the untelevised shows, probably some of the tours that we'll do. But her first responsibility is to be a mother and a wife, and she knows that, and she enjoys that. But she also is really starting to get into this character. She's actually driving me nuts because she's on the internet all the time, and she's always trying to get better, and she's watching film of herself, and she's watching film of past women in ballets and wrestling, like Miss Elizabeth and Sunny, and trying to get a feel for it. And you know, she's a very hard worker, and she has really involved herself in this without hurting the fact that she is a mother and a wife. So I give her a lot of credit for that. Her life has not changed except for the fact that she has a job with TNA, and she does it very well.
Have both of you been surprised at how popular she's been on the product?
She was only in 2007. She was only 10 weeks on TV, and she won Diva/Knockout of the Year. I don't know how that's possible. I mean, I'd imagine you'd have to go the whole year to win that honor. Karen was only 2.5 months from October through December, and she won Diva Knockout of the Year. That never happens. So she must have done something right. I have to give her a lot of credit. Her pre-tapes, her promos, her skills, even with her out in the ring, she has such a natural ability to like, I'll tell her, listen, make sure you do this or this at a certain time, and she's always on cue. She has a natural feel for wrestling, and it's because she was a fan her whole life, and she not only watched it with her grandparents, she studied it. And when I joined wrestling, she didn't believe me that I was going to join pro wrestling. We were getting married. I said, guess what? I'm going to go try out for WWE. And she said, no way. I said, yeah. And she's like, okay, go ahead if you're going to do it. But she really didn't like my run in WWE. She prefers my run in TNA because I spend more time with her. I spend more time with my family. When I was with WWF or WWE, I mean, my first child, Kira, she actually called me by my first name because she didn't know I was her dad. She would call me Kurt when I came home. She thought I was like a buddy of hers, and that really hurt me. And I think that was part of the reason why I left too. Is I needed some free time with my family, and Dixie Carter was willing to give it to me. So the growth of TNA and them giving me time with my family really helped me, and that's what Dixie Carter is. She's a family-oriented woman. She has a great family. Her husband's Serge. She has kids, and she knows how important family is to her. And even her father and mother have the same aspect. And if they knew I wasn't spending time with my family, they would force me to take time off the road to spend time with them. That's the kind of people they are. Vince McMahon, he was the complete opposite. He wanted me on the road. He didn't want me married. He wanted me to be his and entirely his. He wanted to own me and just have me, wrestle as long as I could until I couldn't move a muscle, and then he'd probably spit me out. I knew that time was going to come soon, and so I just wanted to get out.
Okay, again, keeping on the subject of Karen, and also one of the newest products from TNA, of course, the Women's Knockouts division. Any possibilities for Karen to be going for the TNA Women's Knockout Championship?
No chance in heck. Oh, my God. Have you seen our wrestlers? Awesome Kong, ODB. Yeah. I mean, even, you look at Gail Kim, and see, the TNA has taken a different approach to women's wrestling. WWE, it's more eye candy. They want the girls to show TNA, a different TNA than the Total Non-Stop Action. The other TNA. And they just roll around the ring, and the fans laugh, and the guys go whistle, and they get a little joy out of it. It's kind of, it's a joke. But and Dixie Carter came up with the idea, we're going to have our TNA Knockouts, and she didn't want to call them divas. She called them Knockouts. And they're going to be wrestlers, and we're going to take this seriously. And when they brought in Awesome Kong and ODB, I was like, wow, this has really turned into a really good women's division. They have other wrestlers that are very good. Christy Hemi's coming along really well. Gail Kim is definitely one of the most talented female wrestlers I have ever seen. But there are a lot of girls that we have hired that are just as good. So. But with Awesome Kong, Gail Kim, and ODB running in the front, it's just it's one of those divisions that when I watch them wrestle, I sit down and I watch. Before, if the women were on, I just go about my business, study my promo, and ignore the women's wrestling. And TNA, I watch it because it is exciting. Awesome Kong is just. She wrestled in Japan, I guess, for 4 or 5 years, so she learned that kind of style. And ODB is a great entertainer. So, and like I said, Gail Kim's a great high flyer. So, all that, all the chemistry, just it's incredible. I'd have to say they're not as good as the men's division, but they're pretty damn close.
Okay, and just wanted to sort of tie things up. Basically, obviously, we've got the TNA Impact video game coming out this year, which is coming over to the UK for the first time for the tour, and really sort of branching out internationally. TNA, obviously, this show's heard worldwide. A lot of fans in the UK listen to this show, and people who love TNA watch it on Bravo every week. Any words for your fans in the UK who haven't seen you in the UK before?
You know what? I just want to say that I really do miss the fans here. They have always gone along with the Kurt Angle character, whether I was good or I was bad. They kind of got it. It was kind of like I winked at them, and they went with it. If I was the bad guy and they were chanting "You suck," along with my song. They always stayed loyal to my character, and the funny thing is, I have more fans over here than I think I do in the United States, and that's an honor. That makes me feel really good. So, like I said, when I come over here, I guarantee you I am going to have some of my best matches, and it's because of the appreciation I have for the fans here in the UK.
Fantastic. Now, don't forget, you can watch Against All Odds that happens this Sunday live on pay-per-view in the US. Yes. This Wednesday at 9 p.m. on Bravo 2. That's Sky 123. And Impact every Saturday on Bravo on Sky 121 at 9 p.m.
Yes,
every week.
Yes. So we are really kicking butt, yes. And I'm very happy.
Awesome. With that, Kurt, thank you so much for taking the time out to do the interview. It's great seeing you over here in the UK. Can't wait to attend the UK tour. It's going to be fantastic, and we're going to be pushing that all the way. So thank you once again for taking the time for the interview.
Thanks for being on my show, and thank you to the fans.